Hi guys, Jared here with Day Traders FX. Time for the daily video. We've had some interesting movements today, but it's all kind of come down to the markets being pretty choppy and um, pretty kind of consolidated as they anticipate the news tomorrow morning, which is Bernanke and Jackson Hole and more possible QE and all of that stuff. So it's all very important, and the markets have definitely been showing us how much they are waiting for that news. We did see a bit of a downward movement on everything today. Oil's down, gold's down, S&P and Dow ended pretty bad days. So that's been a little painful. As far as today goes, we did have a little bit of news, but it's really, again, all about tomorrow. We have the Canadian GDP tomorrow. We don't have anything else significant today. Canadian GDP tomorrow morning, which will be a bit of a mover, and then Bernanke speaking at 7 a.m. Pacific time. That's going to be, again, it's all about what happens in this speech. The markets are going to go probably very crazy. So be ready for that. Be waiting for that. There's lots of moves here. So a couple of things to talk about real quick. This was our level from yesterday. We had a couple of things. We were looking for an open above the daily pivot. We got that, and the markets kind of ran. They were up 20, 0, 20, 0. It was just kind of a very choppy little while there. And then kind of late in the U.S. session, everything just kind of broke and made a run below our 125.25 level that I sent out on Twitter yesterday and sent out on some charts and screenshots about that. So 125.25 was a good level, and the market ran a little bit, not a ton, 35 pips or so, ran down to the lower pivot and into the 200-day moving average. This is once again a good little level to keep an eye on. So as we run into that 200-day moving average, it's bouncing, and we're looking for some possible support there and maybe some continuation back up, but we'll see. So far this double top is holding in place, and we're seeing that happening very nicely there. So the opportunities that I'll be looking for will be, most likely I'm going to just be very cautious and kind of sideline as we wait for the Fed news tomorrow morning. But we're watching this, and we're watching these movements here. If this gets back up above 125.25, I think there's some pips to be had in there. You can see that's about 20 pips away. I could sit above the daily pivot and so on. I don't know if I'm ready to look for any selling opportunities just yet on this one. This is kind of in an interesting area. Again, we're looking for a break also. If we can get this thing right at about 12600, which again, it's a little bit off of, about 100 pips away now, I think we've got a good run for that 12750, and this is all going to matter tomorrow when the news is hitting and everything's going crazy. So definitely watch this high, this 125 kind of 85.90 area. Above that, things should run up nicely, and likewise, above this 125.25, we should see some upward movement. But as far as everything else goes, I'm not sure if we have any great immediate trading opportunities until we get back up above 125.25. All of this is pretty choppy down here, but it may hold, may break. That's why I'm just looking for some momentum as we get up above that level once again. So that'll be something to keep an eye on. Pound dollar has been very interesting, and this one is definitely worth talking about quite a bit. As we look at the 1 hour chart, we definitely had a nice reversal pattern right here, and we saw that thing just came straight down. And it's not as apparent right here, but we definitely have some long wicks and some things to look at there. But when we look at it on the daily chart, we can see that the pound dollar broke this 157.50, ran up for a daily reversal right off that 61.8, came down. We got a nice long candle right here, a bullish hammer, and bouncing off that 157.50 once again, and it ran all the way up. Now here we go once again with some long wicks and a new lower high. So this puts the pound dollar in some fairly bearish territory. Now we still are above 157.50, so that's important. And we may start looking for some bounces and get some bounces down here, but for the most part, I'm looking for 157.50 to break, and I think we may have some great pips. Well, if it does break, we're going to have some good pips below 157.50. Otherwise, look for a test of 157.50 in any kind of reversal patterns. Look for some nice long wicks, some nice pullbacks, some nice things happening down there, and that should get us up. I'll send more charts and Twitter updates out on this, but that's kind of what I'm looking for. Below this 157.50, I think we're headed into this trend line here, which is, there's some good space in there, a little over 100 pips. But otherwise, if it does bounce off that level, then we could be headed up into a very nice double top of the 15900. But remember, markets probably aren't going to do a ton before the news comes out, and all of the things that we think matter right now may not, especially if Bernanke announces things or doesn't announce things or isn't clear or is very clear, markets are going to be all over the place. So all we can do is kind of watch these short-term levels. Euro yen, I'm still watching this level, 98.80. And if we get above that, I've got a buy stop placed at 98.90. So a break above that I think is going to give us a big nice run, and this thing should take off very nicely. Likewise, I'm looking for this thing to give us a break below this general area. You can see the candle bodies have attempted 9,800, but nothing seems to be able to really get below that level. So 9,800 has been a very important one. If we get below that, then obviously we have some trend lines to work with about 30 pips later, but then we have very, very large breakout potentials beyond that, and this pair could be headed down very, very nicely. And so that's kind of what I'm watching for. So it's going to really be all about this 98.80 or getting some nice reversal patterns from this low here, which we have a really nice long wick, and we just about tested that 9800. Just came a couple of pips shy, actually, about 98, 203. And now it's bouncing off that. So we're going to keep an eye on this, watch this daily pivot. We get some opens above this, and things get a little more interesting, and we can start looking for some, some runs back up into these upper areas. So keep an eye on that. Aussie dollar. This was another chart that I sent out yesterday. We didn't have a daily video yesterday, so I just sent out a bunch of charts and a bunch of trade ideas. The Aussie dollar's been panning out very nicely. This 23% fib. Remember, on the daily chart, when we break this, our chances of reaching that 38 are 9 times out of 10. And now we're only about 70 pips from that 38% fib. And there's still time to get into this, but we need to get a little bit of retracement. So I'm looking for some possible runs. You can see that from this major resistance here, we're about 60 pips, which is now about 103.45.50. So from there, I'd like to see some retracement and a little bit of run up in that direction. We have a lot of resistance in here, so 40 or 50 pips up, and I'm definitely looking to go short in this upper area of 103.30, 40. Kind of in that general area. And I think we'll be able to get some of that. Gold is slowly on the decline. We've seen gold running up, and it's starting to break these levels. 1655 is going to be a big one. You can see that it keeps testing, but not really breaking. So below 1655, away we go, probably back into 1630. So I think we have a pretty good chance at running down into some of those levels. And gold is definitely looking a bit bearish at the moment. So we're going to keep our eye on that. And then the rest of these pairs are kind of, everything's just chopping around and moving around a little bit. We've been watching the CAD a little. We had some nice pips on that guy. But for the rest of it, I think our attention will be mostly on the pound dollar and looking for that daily pen bar, getting a little bit of reversal, and maybe looking to get short in that 158.30 area. I think we've got some good chances of that. And then the euro yen and the Aussie dollar are really going to be the big focuses. So we've got some good pips, but more importantly, we have some big runs set up Friday morning for the Fed news. So let's be ready for that, and we'll take things from there. So best of luck, guys, and I will see you all in the chat. Thanks, everyone.